What if you put in all that work and you don't succeed? What if you spend weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and maybe months and you don't hit your goal? That's the question that I asked my coach, TC, in 2009 when I was training for the USA Memory Championship. TC's a former Navy SEAL, and I had hired him to help get my mindset right for the USA Memory Championship. And I had done everything that I thought I needed to do to win. I had adjusted my diet. I had adjusted my schedule. I had put in hours and hours of training for 8 hours a day for 60 days before the tournament. And even before that, almost 6 months worth of training. I put a lot of work into this tournament. Then about 3 or 4 weeks before the tournament, I started getting anxiety. And I was like, TC, what happens if I put in all this work and I don't win? What happens if I don't become the USA Memory Champion and I've put in all that work? What am I going to think about myself? What are people going to think? And TC, as my coach, he was a guy who normally would just kind of listen, calmly and ask me questions and help reshape my thoughts on something. But in this moment, he got a little bit forceful with me. And he asked me the question. He said, Ronnie, let me ask you this question. Rudy, did you see the movie? I'm like, yeah, I saw the movie. It was about a guy who went to the University of Notre Dame. He wanted to play on the football team, but he wasn't big enough. He wasn't strong enough. He was an athletic guy, so there was really no chance of him playing on the football team. But they ended up letting him play for a game. And he asked me, he said, what starting position did Rudy play on the Notre Dame football team? And I said, well, he didn't play a starting position. And he said, wait a minute, you're telling me that they made an entire movie about someone who had the goal of playing for a football team, and he put in all that work to become a starting player, and after years and years and years, he failed in that goal, and they still made a movie about him? If you never saw the movie Rudy, he won people's hearts. TC shared this with me that day. He said, Ronnie, what won people's hearts is not that Rudy was the starting star player of the Notre Dame football team. What won people's hearts is the work that he put in to achieve that goal. If you didn't see the movie, Rudy was a small guy, not a super athletic guy. He had a dream of playing on the Notre Dame football team, but he just wasn't the most athletic guy. But he was a hard worker. He was the first one to show up at practice. He volunteered for everything. He volunteered to sweep the floors. He slept on the floor. He took jobs to put himself through college just so he could have a chance to play on the teams. During practice, he put in the hard work. He was the first one at practice. He was the last one to leave. He volunteered for all the drills. He took some massive hard hits from players that were bigger and stronger than him. And during all that time, every player didn't say, wow, Rudy, I'm impressed with your work ethic. It's been years and years and years. You keep showing up day after day, year after year. You keep putting in the work. They never said that, but they took notice. They're like, wow, okay. And then they went on about their work. Here is the amazing thing about the consistent person. When you are consistent in achieving your goals, whatever it is, you're putting in the work every day. Even if the work is small, you're sweeping the floors, you're sleeping on the floors maybe just to make ends meet. You are doing everything. You're showing up to practice. You're the last one to leave. You're putting in all the work. People may not always say, hey, I notice what you're doing. But guess what? They're noticing what you're doing. Well, Rudy did this for years and years and years, and then it was the final year. And it was the final game of the season. And guess what? Rudy wasn't on the team. He had put in all that work, and he had failed in his goal to make the Notre Dame football team. And before the final game of the season, one of the star players walks in the coach's office with his jersey, and he sets that jersey down on the coach's desk. And he says, Coach, if you need to take somebody off the team so you can make room on the roster for Rudy, take me. Here's my jersey. And he walks out of the room. And the coach is sitting there confused. And the coach doesn't even have time to think about it because the next player walks in and lays his jersey down on the table. And he says, "Coach, Rudy can have my spot." The next player walks in. Player after player after player walked in that room, stacked their jerseys on the coach's table, and said, "If you need a player, take me off the team so Rudy can play." Why would these men who worked so hard to be on the Notre Dame football team gladly give up their spot for someone who wasn't able to make the team? I'll tell you why they did it. Because he won their hearts. He won their hearts with his work ethic, with everything that he went through. Some of you may be disadvantaged like Rudy was disadvantaged. He was a smaller, weaker guy trying to make a football team. Your disadvantage might not be your size. Your disadvantage might be the family that you're born into or the country that you're born into, or maybe you can't think as quickly as other people. But if you put in the work, people will notice. Even if they don't say it, one day they're going to notice and they're going to respect you for it. Well, the coach decided that he would let Rudy put on the football uniform for that game, but he still hadn't put him in the game. And towards the end of the game, all the fans in the stands started chanting, "Rudy, Rudy, 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 Rudy." And the coach had no other choice but to send Rudy running out on the field. And the fans went wild. The stadium erupted, and Rudy was running around out on the field. And he quickly ran to the huddle. He listened for the plays. Rudy, a guy who wasn't physically good enough to be on the Notre Dame football team, won the hearts of the fans, won the hearts of his fellow teammates, won the hearts of his coaches, not because he won, not because he succeeded in the goal, but because of the work that he put in, because of the discipline that he put in. And here's my message to you. What if you put in all that work? What if you work so hard for this and you don't achieve it? What if you work so hard and you miss your goal? Well, guess what? To the people watching, it might not even be the fact that you win is what win their hearts. It's the work that you put in. It's the discipline that you put in. It's who you have to become in the process. That's what's going to inspire people. Some people may come up to you one day and they might say, "Man, you motivated me. Just watching you all the time inspired me." And you may say to yourself, "What are you talking about? I didn't even win. I didn't even succeed in that goal." Well, guess what? It's the work. It's the discipline. That's what's going to win everybody's hearts. Now, hear me out on this. I'm not saying you shouldn't strive to win. Oh, believe me, I want to win. I'm not saying you shouldn't strive to accomplish your goals. I love accomplishing my goals. But I'm saying the process is also a reward. And that's what's going to win people's hearts oftentimes. If I had not won the USA Memory Championship for the rest of my life, I would remember all that work I put in, and I wouldn't have regretted it for a second, because I became a better memorizer, I became a better thinker, I became a better strategizer, I became a better person because of that work. That's a reward in itself. So don't get so hung up on what are other people going to think if you put in all this work and you don't fail. Because you know what they're really going to think? I'm inspired by the work that person is putting in. And I'm going to tell you this, if you put in a tremendous amount of work, very few times do I not see somebody make measurable progress. You know, I do jujitsu. And a friend of mine told me, he said, Ronnie, just show up every day. Just show up and train an hour a day, 3 or 4 days a week. He said, I've never seen somebody do that and not get considerably better after a year. Just put in the work. That's what's going to win people's hearts. My name's Ron White. I'm a 2-time USA Memory Champion. I did win the Memory Championship, and I won it twice, 2009 and 10. If you'd like to learn memory skills, the same skills that I learned I used to win the USA Memory Championships. I have a course called Black Belt Memory. It's a great online memory course. Click the link down below in the description and you can get a free gift. Plus you can also find out about the memory course, and maybe you can start challenging yourself in regards to your memory. You don't have to enter a memory tournament, but maybe you will. Regardless, whatever you deem worthy, whatever you feel is worth your time to pursue a goal, I want you to put in the work. I want you to go for it. And if you don't hit it, remember, the reason Rudy won everybody's hearts was the obstacles he had to overcome, the work he put in. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. Compare yourself to yourself. And I'll see you on the next video. I appreciate all the likes and subscribes. Comment below and let me know if you saw the movie Rudy. I'll see you on the next video.